Hey, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the podcast. I'm Dave Woodland, and I'm so pumped to finally be kicking this off. This show will discuss topics pertaining to fitness, running, and pushing past the limits we often set for ourselves, whether that's in our bodies, our routines, or most importantly, our mindset. And today, I wanted to start by sharing a little bit of my own backstory, how I went from being the skinny kid who could barely lift a barbell or hardly run a mile to becoming a personal trainer, competing in bodybuilding shows, and eventually running my first full marathon in 2025 at 40 years old. It's been a long, purposeful journey full of ups and downs, sore legs, and a whole lot of learning, and I'm excited to share it all with you here. So whether you're brand new to fitness, somewhere in the middle, or training for your next big race, I hope this gives you a little inspiration to keep on going. Let's dive in. What is up, guys, and welcome to the very first episode of the podcast. We made it. We're here. In this episode, I'm taking it all the way back and sharing my full backstory. How a skinny kid with zero athletic background eventually found his way into fitness, personal training, and most recently, marathon running. It's quite a long story, so please bear with me and enjoy the ride. Thanks for being here. All right, guys, so here we are, episode 1, raw and unfiltered. You're going to get Dave Woodland in his natural element. So for those of you who already know me, I'm a Spitfire, I just kind of put it all out there. So here we are. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button, and hope you enjoy the ride. Follow along, and there'll be a lot of fun content coming. So can't wait to look back on this one day. All right, guys. So to kickstart the first episode, we're just going to dive right in. And I just want to say to anyone else out there who is jumping into whatever project it is you're working on, a new career endeavor, a new sport, weight loss, saving money, I just want to congratulate you, because I can tell you firsthand that first step is so hard. I've wanted to do a podcast for so long, and I just wanted to nail it down to what am I most passionate about, which is really fitness has always been a huge staple in my life. And we're going to dive deeper into that later on in the podcast. Expect a lot of rambling too, because this is my first episode. So I am happy to screw up. I am happy to be raw and unfiltered. That's just who I am as a person, especially if you know me. But before we get going, I just want to congratulate all of you out there for taking that first step. It could be anything in life. Like bravo. This stuff's hard, I've got cameras and I've got all this, new stuff to me, even though I've been in production for 20 years, 20 plus years as a filmmaker. This is fun being on the opposite side of the camera. So without further ado, I just kind of want to go a little ways back. I don't want to, go so far back that it's not relevant anymore. But essentially, now I'm 40. A little bit of my backstory is being that skinny kid, all the way from preschool through college. I was a skinny, kind of a nerdy, just filmmaker kid all the way till 24, 25. I'd have to say maybe 21, 22. I can't remember exactly the time. Something finally clicked. I had played soccer, basketball, baseball till I was like 13. Dad really thought I had a chance of going the distance in baseball. And I think I could have as a pitcher or second baseman, but I eventually just kind of found, Mom put me on skates, like roller skates at 2 years old. And that kind of stuck with me too. I was always at the skating rink with my best friend at the time, Daniel Cox. We were inseparable for, all the way probably till high school. And then, paths just start shifting. Sports, everybody gets into different things. I went to band for a few years. He went soccer. So, amazing soccer player. But, so yeah, my story is always identified with being that skinny kid. I was always active, never slowing down. The rollerblading thing, skateboarding kind of took over, most of my youthful years, really young, like anywhere from, I think 11 is when I found extreme rollerblading, which ultimately led me to where I'm at now with production and filmmaking, because I picked up a camera around 11 or 12, just a little JVC I think my dad had around the house. And that well, we're going to dive into that a little bit, but that's what led me into filmmaking. And I just I got the bug. I got hooked, like, and here I am 28 years later or something, still like filmmaking is my entire life. It's what I do for a living now. I do a lot of wedding filmmaking for those of you who don't know. Um, but yeah, I really just wanted to kind of talk about how I was that skinny kid. I didn't have a lot of guidance, I guess, in sports. It was kind of, my parents are amazing, but they just kind of left it up to me. Like, okay, you don't want to play baseball anymore, find the next thing. Baseball faded out, basketball faded out. I was real passionate about soccer still. I still love soccer. I love a good FIFA game too. Or like we live just down the road from the stadium here in Louisville, so we can go to a good sports, soccer game. Love the vibe, love the atmosphere of a good soccer game. But yeah, eventually, and that's going to kind of move us into the next topic is funny, believe it or not. I think I was interning because I was in college. I just went to like a tech school to get a degree in graphic design. And then also like it focused a lot on video production. I had never really stepped into a gym. I was always, again, going back to the skinny kid, never lifted a weight, was always intimidated by the wrestlers, the big guys, the football team. That just wasn't my niche. Like I was in the band. So, not to ramble on, but we're going to do that. I played mellophone, French horn, and then I marched. Yeah, I marched freshman year on the field with the mellophone, so, that's where I got my gimbal skills too. People don't know that I'm a ninja with the gimbal, with filmmaking. So, because you learn to walk heel to toe. So that's always stuck with me. So then eventually band ended, I didn't do band after I think sophomore year or freshman year. I knew college wasn't like the traditional route for me. So again, I kind of went all these years of my younger years, teens into early 20s with no real guidance, just kind of had to figure it out for myself. And that's kind of what led me to, I had an internship with Louisville Metro as doing like video work. I had to have an internship to complete my associate's degree. So that brought me to the downtown gym where my brother worked at Louisville Metro in the IT department. He's still in IT. He's crushing it. And then he said one day, hey, Dave, you want to go to the gym with me? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, that's weird. Like, I don't know. I've never stepped into a gym. I don't know. What would I do? I don't know what to do. So yeah, you guys are getting the full story as much as I can recall of it. So went in there, we're surrounded by all the cops, getting it in, heavy lifts, heavy grunts. Of course, like what's a kid like me? I was maybe a buck 35 at the heaviest at that point. If you can envision it, like a kid, I still had like kind of like an afro, had some crazy hair at that point. They called me Screech, if you can relate to that. I was like Screech from like Saved by the Bell. Yeah. So we got me in there, and I remember, starting just pushing the barbell, doing lat pull downs, push ups. And I don't know, something clicked. I wish I could really go back and remember the moment it clicked, but here I am at 41 almost in August, really showing my age. From that time, I mean, even though I kept pursuing filmmaking and I'm always doing filmmaking, fitness has always been at the core of my being. Without fitness, pretty much every day, unless I know that I need a little break, it's every day. It's like my religion. I just do it. I wake up, I go to the gym. Can't live without it, honestly. So, yeah, I just want to kind of say, like, yeah, Eric really got me into the fitness game. And then I think actually he stopped going at some point, but I still had the key to access that gym or something like that. So I just kept going. I remember like other guys in that little city gym helping me out, all the cops and stuff, which made me feel real, comfortable at the time because I was a skinny kid and they're helping me, like assisting me, spotting me on the bench and all that. And then, really from there, the fitness thing just kept going. I kept trying to find jobs with my graphic design degree. That was really hard in the beginning. So fitness still stayed at the core front while I was working like little stores like I think I worked at GameStop. Just some little jobs right there out of college trying to find work. And then that led me into working for Zappos, the shoe company. We won't go into a lot of that. I want to stay mostly fitness focused for the whole first podcast. But even from there, I was doing graphic design type work for a couple of years, and then the economy got real rough in 2008. So I was let go, unfortunately. That also just motivated me again to like, what's my next purpose? And I just knew personal training was going to be that next thing. So yeah, that's kind of a segue from a little bit of graphic design, video work. I started studying for like my NASM. I think I had not NASM. I had I'm trying to think. I had a couple different certifications for personal training. So like a nutrition certification, second, and then first was just a general, fitness trainer, personal trainer certification. And then that, I want to say that went on from, I think around the time I was 23, maybe not even that. It could have been like 25 to 31 because we started filming weddings. I started filming weddings right around 28, 29, right after UPS. So, yeah, I'm just kind of throwing it all in there for you guys because what else are we going to do, right? Yeah, I've been looking forward to this episode for a long time, just kind of getting my story out there a little bit. Again, it's a lot. So if you're still watching, appreciate you guys. That's amazing. If you're listening to it on Spotify or iTunes, podcast or whatever platform, again, thanks for checking in to just some guy over here with a huge passion for fitness and marathon running. So yeah, then we went from, again, going from editing, a lot of like Photoshop work for Zappos, video. That led me into full-time personal training, and I had to do something new. So I just started filling up the schedule with a lot of amazing clients back in the day at like LA Fitness, which was, before that it was Urban Active and all that. Long story short, that kind of came to a close eventually. I was just kind of bouncing around working at GNC, training a lot of clients. And then kind of went off with another company to where I could almost have more my own practice, but still under their guidance, under their brand. And then that eventually led me into, hey, wait a minute. I kind of have an interest in, most of my workout is like bodybuilding related, I would say, at that point. Take a little drink there. Yeah, so that progression naturally led me into training very hard for bodybuilding. I found a really fun passion for the men's physique division, which isn't like, just more of a natural division. You're in board shorts, all that kind of thing. Did a few shows on that. Met the most amazing coach, Steve Weingarten, incredible. He's still out there training bodybuilding clients, and just general health and wellness clients. He's amazing. I love following along on his journey. He's one of the first people who really, took me under his wing and just believed in me. And honestly, I knew I wasn't going to be like up there with the best of the best. I needed some sort of guidance to teach me that discipline, the perseverance to just keep coming back. And if you want to be tested in life, if you want to be really challenged, bodybuilding is a great way to start. It's going to teach you things that most people think are a little ludicrous, a little extreme. My parents weren't really ever on board with that kind of thing. They didn't go to the shows. They didn't really understand the culture of like, why is he tanning and getting on stage and showing abs? But it's kind of like marathon running, and we'll touch on that later. It never had anything to do with like the look. It's just like, how hard you worked and nobody cares. And that's my philosophy on life, is that nobody cares, work harder. And yeah, really that just taught me to stay focused on something for 12 to 16 weeks, whatever it was with the prep time. And now, no longer that chapter is no longer like I'm done with the bodybuilding phase, but it was great. It was a great learning lesson. And I still apply so many things in my personal life, my business life these days that came from bodybuilding. It all kind of transcended into the next area of my life, which was kind of the wedding filmmaking thing, just being very hardworking, staying focused on the prize, serving clients well. And, little did I know that fitness and bodybuilding and all that would eventually tie into where I went next. So from the bodybuilding and all that, as that kind of faded out, maybe right around when I was like 30, 31, at least the competing part. Naturally, it's a long story and I won't really go into it because it could be a whole nother podcast. I shifted into a full-time career as a wedding filmmaker, left a personal train or not personal training. I was a PT tech, like a physical therapist technician. So worked alongside all the PTs, at the company. Did that for just about a year. And I think at that point, the weddings were really picking up. I mean, we probably had like 20 on the books in that first year, 15 or 20. It was fast. So I knew that I had a little niche for all the filmmaking stuff too. I never thought it would be weddings. But the most important thing is that even though I'm still doing weddings to this day, this is my 12th year of weddings. I've always stayed consistent with fitness because of what it's taught me in life. It's one of those things you can't really argue. And if you're watching this, you already understand because I'm talking to the people who get this. A life with fitness and health will take you so much farther than a life without fitness and health. You can truly do anything when you're capable, when you're able, when you're healthy, when you're strong. So it's really a part of why my life is pivoting back to where it all began in my 20s. And I know as I get a little older, I'm going to start shifting more into health again, a lot of marathon running. I really would like to start coaching with upcoming clients and kind of get a brand going from that. But, it's all in the future, so we'll see. But yeah, the wedding thing is still consistent. Fitness is obviously consistent. And then I kind of want to just dive into what else we've got on this episode with you guys. So I want to talk a little bit about running, because running is really at the forefront of my life these days. So I can't say that I was ever, now to this day, I'm a better runner. I'm happy with like what I'm doing. I'm totally like, okay, I'm never going to be like an elite runner. That's okay. But I do want to be my best, and that's all that matters. I had a lot of early frustrations with running because really, who in the hell likes running? Nobody likes running. Still to this day, I just ran a half marathon the other day and I was like struggling. It was my 29th half marathon since March of last year. And that's typically like my favorite distance. I love to just go run a half marathon. My body's conditioned for that. And the day it's not, I'll be kind of worried because that's like, it's a good challenging distance. But anyway, going back to like the beginning of my attempt at running I remember kind of running when I was like in my 20s, didn't really have any guidance. Never had the right shoe, just probably some shoes I bought from the outlet, a pair of Adidas here and there, maybe Nike, Under Armour, I don't know. So for anybody out there kind of looking for, you need some inspiration, I guess, motivation, just go. It's like Nike. Just honestly, just do it. Just get started, even if it's the wrong way, the wrong shoe. I'd never encourage like to intentionally hurt yourself, but I had a lot of shin splints for years and years. Like while I worked at the PT clinic, I had PTs like dry needle my shins. Like no matter what I did, I could never get a mile or two in, and then my shins would just kill me. And I'm like, what is this pain? So, and then of course, like knee pain, I've fractured both knees from rollerblading, but it's never given me like an excuse to cop out and not run. But the shin splint issue has pretty much ceased to exist these days. Now that I have the right shoes, the right training plan, even like currently I'm not on a training plan, but I know, hey, don't ever train too many miles in a week. Like I don't ever really go over 30 right now. It was like 40 when I was training for a marathon that just happened about a month ago. But if you're struggling with like injuries, definitely step into like Ken Combs or Fleet Feet Louisville if you're here in the Louisville area. Swags, step into these stores where the experts can truly guide you down the path of getting the right shoe. Even the right sock. There's days where I don't run in the same sock, and I can tell a difference. There's a lot that goes into running. We're going to save some of that for an upcoming future episode on the podcast. But I do want to say that I was able to finally beat the shin splint issue, which has now turned me into a marathon runner just by slowing down, doing my research, whether that's reading articles, stretching more, mobility, especially as you get into your, midlife, I guess you would call it. Stretching is very important. So I try to stretch, 4 days a week. But I want to talk about really the game-changing discovery that helped me actually enjoy running, which began in 2023. I think I signed up for like 100 miles and 100 days, maybe at the end of, I think that would have been the end of 2022 if we're going back. Maybe, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I found something about doing 100 miles in 100 days, just 1 mile a day. And I feel like that is what led me to be able to run consistently a mile every day, which, at the time I was maybe running like a 9:30 mile. Now I don't know honestly what it is. It could be every bit as a 7-minute mile, 6:30 if I'm really pushing. But that taught me that I can do something consistent. It kind of came back to the bodybuilding age. You just stay consistent on your plan. And there's a really great quote that I always hear, and I share it all the time, that consistently good always beats occasionally great. Yeah, consistently good will always beat out occasionally great. And it's one that just sticks with me. Yeah, so that's something I apply every day. But going through that 100 miles in 100 days was transformative because it proved that I could stay consistent. There were some times in the winter where I pushed out like a few days and had to do like 3 miles in one day, but I didn't have enough training in the right guidance, the right shoes still at that time. So I knew that shin splints, they could still happen, injuries in my knees. But luckily I don't think any of that ever really happened. So yeah, again, if you guys are still here, thanks for being here. This is fun. I'm enjoying it. Something different. And again, it's the first podcast or the first episode on my podcast. So pretty cool. Before it gets too long, I just want to touch on a few more little subjects, and hopefully that gives you just enough, background into my fitness journey. I will be diving into things a little bit more as I gain some clarity on what I really, really want to jump into. But yeah, one of the final points I want to discuss is that ultimately, I just want to remind you guys, if you're listening to this, you can do hard things. You can do anything. Like literally, it sounds so cliche. I've heard so many people say it, and I was like, really? Can I really do hard things? I ran 25 half marathons in just under a year. So I signed up, and that's not a flex. That's not a whatever. Again, nobody cares. But I just want to help encourage you all that if you're thinking about maybe signing up for your first 5K, like a couch to 5K, you can do it. You can do a 10K. You can do them all. You can do a 10 miler. And if running isn't even your thing, if that's just, something that you're not really interested in, that's okay too. Get a little water here. But yeah, kind of my little journey into the half marathon story is that I just signed up for my first one last April. I did the Kentucky Derby Festival half marathon and found a training program. I was on Strava at the time. I'm still on Strava, but I use Runna. The Runna app is incredible. Highly suggest it for anybody. If you're serious about running, go for it. So I just found a half marathon plan with the Hal Higdon, I think, plan on Strava. It was great. I found the right shoe about 4 weeks into that 12-week plan. I went into a local shoe store, Ken Combs. They got me in the right pair of shoe for my foot, my stride, cadence, all those little things. And something from there, I did like 5 half marathons in that training program, which you're not really supposed to run the full distance. The day I did my first one, I was like, I'm hooked. I can do it. And then I did 4 more in 4 weekends straight. And then ultimately, though, I will never advise that. Don't train that full distance, especially if you're new to running. You don't need to run the full 13. Just stick to the plan, whether it's 9 miles or 10, because that actually hurt me. I ran like a 2:01:50 or something in my first official race, And in training, I was running like a 154, which is cool. I'm down to 146 now. So for a 40-year-old guy, I'm cool with that. It's going to get faster. I know it is. But yeah, I advise really sticking to the plan on the half marathon training program, because you can do it. When race day comes, the energy is so different. The crowds, the chant, the music. There's an energy out there that I think even when I'm in my 70s, I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't get enough of it. So yeah, long story short, I just kept running half marathons. I'm over here sounding like Forrest Gump, but ultimately, I kept getting excited about like, what can I achieve next? Can I take a minute off of that last one? Can I just have better breathing on this one? And over time, my heart rate's really lowered. Like now I can really push the pace, and I'm in like high 150s, maybe 165 when I'm really pushing. And then, over time, if you're running like a full marathon, your heart rate's going to go up a lot higher. I think when I finished my first full marathon just about a month ago, I was like up in the 180s towards the end, because your body's really fighting. So yeah, that's just a little bit of my backstory into the half marathon. I want to talk about a little bit more about that later on in another podcast, when we'll just do like an episode just all about the half marathon. And then that leads me kind of to my next and final, I believe my final point for this episode is that I just completed my first full marathon, April 26, 2025. So it was just about a month ago. And what an experience. You do all this training. I did like 5 months of training, 22 weeks or something. And there were runs I failed. There was a 19-mile run I failed, but the week before I did an 18-mile of hills. Got through that one, but it was tough. Those runs will challenge you like nothing else you've ever gone after in life. Even the heaviest sets of my deadlifting days, bench pressing, like when I kind of went into that powerlifting little chapter, which was really fun too. There's something about a full marathon. The longest I went in training was a 21 miler. So you're left to figure out how to run another 5.2 miles, which even 5.2 miles on fresh legs is, almost at a 10K in kilometers. So, there's so much I could talk about with the full marathon, and that's another thing I'm going to discuss in another upcoming episode. But I just want to say it was exhilarating. It was amazing. I'm weird about things. I still don't feel like I accomplished that much. And I tell my partner, Sarah, this all the time. I'm like, I don't feel like I accomplished that much. Like it was just a marathon. But then I also have to remind myself like 0.0001% of the population ever finish a marathon, which is cool and all. But for me, it's like the next chapter of reminding myself that, yeah, I've got this. Like whatever it is, I know I can achieve it. We're always fighting with our own personal journeys, our personal goals, and that's what it's all about. But I will say, if you're looking for an exhilarating experience, full of support, full of, crowd just cheering you on, really funny signs, like, although right around mile 14, I'm not really, the signs, whatever they are, I'm just kind of looking at them, and going about my run. They're really funny in the beginning though. And yeah, my partner, she had like, I didn't even notice it at the time. She filmed me at like mile 23, and she had like signs like dangling, and I saw her, but I didn't even pay attention because I was pretty zoned out. But I just want to say, whatever your goals are, fitness, running, health, I'm just here to give you a little bit of a push. I really, in time, I'm going to really kind of buckle down and clarify where I want to take this podcast. The biggest thing is that I just wanted to get it off the ground, try to keep it under like 45 minutes. I got a lot to talk about. There's always something I can chat with people about. So, all right, guys. Well, that's all I've really got for the first episode. I just want to say thanks so much for tuning in to this very first episode. I hope hearing a bit of my journey through weight training, personal training, filmmaking, and finally finding my stride in running reminds you that transformation takes time. It ultimately does. And it's never too late to chase something new, as I'm doing that right here with this podcast. So this is really fun. It's something new. It's uncomfortable. And honestly, that's the best part of it all, is that we just keep moving forward one step at a time. My ultimate goal for this podcast is that it's going to be a space where I share lessons, strategies, and real talk from the road, literally and figuratively, as I continue pushing toward new goals in fitness and in life. If you found this helpful or inspiring, I'd love if you subscribed, shared it with a friend, or left a quick review. It really helps more people find the show and join this growing community. And if you're interested, you can connect with me over on Instagram at Dave Woodland Fit. I'd love to hear your story too. Until next time, keep showing up, stay consistent, and remember, you're capable of more than you think. I'll see you guys in the next episode.